Today I want to answer a question that I get all the time, which is this done in a neutral spine position or an imprinted position? You might have read about that in a book, a Pilates book, or maybe on a video that you've seen, you might have heard of imprinted versus neutral spine. So let me show you really quick the difference. Basically, in our neutral spine, when you lie on your back, in a neutral spine position, we have a natural curve in our lumbar spine and our lower backs. So when you lie on your back naturally, you'll feel there is a little bit of gap underneath your lower back. Okay, so that's what we would refer to as neutral spine. Imprinted position, and I'll just move my arm out of the way so you can see, means that that gap is filled. So I am lowering my lumbar spine gently down towards the floor. So that stretches that part of my spine a little bit. And the reason why we do that is usually because the abdominal wall is too weak to support the spine in its neutral curve. Now, obviously, when my feet are on the floor like they are right now, it doesn't make a difference whether my back is slightly arched in a natural curve or whether my back is on the floor. If your spine is healthy, this doesn't bother you either way. It changes it though once you start to lift one or probably both legs up off the floor. So muscles, there are certain muscles in your body obviously have to hold your legs up in the air, and those are your abdominals. So you see exercises like this in Pilates all the time, right? Single leg stretch, double leg stretch, 100, and so on and so forth, where your legs are up in the air. And that is where, if your abdominal wall is too weak to support your spine here, then what happens is that gravity, the weight of the legs, will pull your lumbar spine higher off the floor. So now I still have a gap, but it's too much of a gap. And if you have a little problem in your spine and maybe with your discs, then that might not make you very happy. Okay? Or if your iliopsoas is very tight, then that will happen very easily. It's actually not a lot of work. Okay, so best case scenario, it doesn't hurt you, but you will not feel any work. Like you can do an exercise like toe taps here. I could do this all day long and not feel really any work in my abdominals. Okay, so if that's the case, then we want to choose an imprinted position. So now I'm going to lower my lumbar spine a little bit to the floor, and then I'm going to lift my legs up. Now what happens for me personally is this is a lot more work. I feel my abdominals working really, really, really hard. Okay? And then I'll rest my feet back down. Let me come up and talk about this just a little bit. So what that means for us is, yes, we are taking our lumbar spine technically out of its ideal positioning, but we're doing that in a very specific exercise or a set of exercises, meaning where you're lying on the floor on your back and your legs are up in the air, in order to trigger more abdominal work so that long term we can go back to a neutral spine and our body can actually support that. So imprinted position would be more a transitional position until I'm strong enough to hold my spine in a neutral position in the same exercises. Okay? Now in any exercises where your legs are not up in the air and you have to hold them yourselves, you don't need imprint. And I would actually say you should probably try to go more towards neutral, because that's the healthier position for your spine. And there's this big, big, big discussion out there in the Pilates world about imprint or not imprint, and I think as everything in Pilates, it depends on the person. But also, we don't want to make it a very strict rule. So if you have been practicing for Pilates for a while, and you have been doing imprint for a long time, maybe check in with yourself and try to do the same thing in a slightly more neutral position. Now, that's the next thing. It's never black and white. It's never there is imprint and there is neutral and there's nothing in between. Of course, there's many, many, many steps in between. And I mean, even if there's an inch or half an inch of space underneath you if you're in a neutral position, which is also different for everybody. But there's many tiny little increments that you can work towards neutral. So you can start imprinted, and every time you can maybe lift 1 millimeter higher in your lumbar spine so that you still feel the work in your abdominals without falling into that hyperextended arch back. So I hope that makes sense. It's not a black and white answer because there is no such thing because we're all different. So I encourage you to try both positions and find the middle path, right? Where you feel the abdominal wall work. But you also make your way slowly away from the imprint. That's as if you've been practicing for a while. If you're brand new, imprint might just be right where you need to start. If you feel imprint, if you try it out and you feel it doesn't feel good at all in your spine, then it's the wrong position for you. So trust your body, okay? Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions, use the comment section below.